Good morning and welcome to the AutoTalk weekly wrap live thingy that we've never named after 133 episodes.
Why stop now,
How you
Richard?
doing? How you doing,
Thank
Graham?
you. Yeah, I was
Selling some
observing.
cars?
Well, I was observing before we went live on the show. You can tell the state of the industry. It was National Rep Week. So I think over the last week or two, we've seen representatives from pretty much every single finance company, warranty company, export agent, tyre shop, places we didn't even know that were in business doing tyres and bits and pieces, all popping in just on the off chance we might want to, put some business their way. And all jokes aside, I guess it's a really solid indicator that they're just not busy. And they've either been sent out by their lords and masters just to go and crack the whip and generate some business, or there's just nothing else to do. And the general theme from most of them has been not a lot to do. So if that tells you the story, it's been a bit of a quiet week, but we've seen little bits and pieces here and there. For us, in our industry, the issue is still buying. Buying is just super tough. And that's going to be a problem leading up to Christmas. It's a longer, steeper curve when it comes to pricing than it has been in any year that I can remember. And that seems to be echoed by all the agents we talk to as well. So, yeah, that could be a problem going forward.
Yes. And sorry for the texting there. I was just telling somebody to call me that I'm live on the internet. They can come watch me here rather than talk to me on the phone. And if that person does turn up, maybe they'll leave a comment. Anyway, yeah, it's been an interesting week out there. It's a bit quieter in the news, I think, than normal because of Labour weekend coming up, and the school strikes yesterday. So I think there are a few people linking things together and just not even bothering.
I think a bigger news story, Richard, is probably to say if you're watching this, you've got people that are down in Southland and Canterbury right now in the industry. Man, I hope you guys and girls are okay down there, that there hasn't been too much dealership damage, because that is one of those just uncontrollable situations where you can watch sort of half of your life's work disappear away in a strong gust of wind, so to speak, whether it's flooding or it's been just some of those horrific winds down there. So I hope you're all okay. I hope there's not too much damage to your infrastructure, and I guess I hope you've got the vehicles down there to replace the ones that clearly there's been a lot that have had damage over the last 24 hours too.
Now, permission to go on a rant, Graham.
Yeah, I'll let you. Sometimes your rants are a bit left field, Richard, but that's what we're here for, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Electric vehicle fires.
Oh, God. I know where this is going to go.
Now, I want to first acknowledge that we can't forget this week, and in this discussion we had the tragic passing of a Connect New Zealand bus driver on a bus on Tamaki Drive the other night. Very, very sad. Quite a tragic incident there. We had 3 fires related to transport this week in New Zealand, or major ones that made the news. One, the bus crash on Tamaki Drive. Well, actually, that wasn't the first, that was the second. Firstly, the fire at Whangarei Hospital. And thirdly, and weirdly brought into this, a ferry on the Auckland Harbour out near Motahi Island. Motahi. In all 3 cases, the blame in both reporting by major outlets and weirdly for the ferry, seeing it wasn't even electric ferry, and particularly on social media, including comments made by members of our own trade, went straight to blaming electric vehicles immediately. Now, I don't even need to have a debate with people because I will win in regards to the fire issues around electric vehicles, and there are issues. But why, guys, do you want to start banging your head, some of you who make comments, banging your heads against walls about something you're going to have to be selling in 10, 15 years' time? I just don't get it. I don't get it when I see members of this trade jumping on Facebook comments and LinkedIn comments, agreeing with or endorsing people going on about this all being down to electrification and electric is terrible, when you may have a disagreement with me now on whether you're going to be electrified or not, but the reality is in 15 years' time, the majority of what you're selling is going to be electric or electrified, or it may already be the majority electrified already. So why jump in and help this weird push as to what these things are? And I always go back to the old thing is that, why do you care? Why do you think that? And who is telling you to think that? And that's what I always go back to wondering, right? Anyway, that's my little rant.
It's a legitimate rant because I noticed that, and by the way, good morning, Ra, for watching. I did notice that in all the major leading news organizations, it could all completely corrected course, that the headline was led you to believe that there was a fire. For example, the tragedy in Tamaki Drive, that there was a fire on an electric bus. Electric bus crashed and there's a massive fire and therefore somebody's died. And they were very short to try and draw up the links as to what had actually happened, and the fact that, as we know, or we should know by now, that the electric bus, that there was no cause of death around the electric bus catching fire. There was an accident.
We don't know around the electric. Let's not say anything about the cause of death, but let's be clear here with the electric bus. What the investigation has already uncovered was the electric bus did not start the fire, and the high voltage batteries in the bus did not ignite. Now, the argument goes that it probably delayed the scene reopening for a period of time because the fire service quite rightly were concerned about the heat that the batteries had been exposed to. But the batteries did not, they were undamaged according to the statement by the bus company, which has not been challenged by the fire service or the council or police, that the bus batteries were undamaged. Similarly, in Whangarei, the fire immediately was, and in fairness to the Herald, they did put the tiny caveat that it was unconfirmed, but they initially blamed the fire on an electric vehicle. Stuff weirdly incorrectly blamed it on arson. It wasn't. It was the rear exhaust of a RAV4 going into long grass, which Health New Zealand have since gone and removed all the long grass in the bit between their car parks, which kind of makes some sense. And I looked at a video walkthrough of that, and the irony being there were two EVs actually in that row of 20 cars that burned, and they were the least burnt vehicles in the rows. I suspect because those fires would have been coming from outside and underneath, and they're probably a lot more better shielded than a normal car. The ferry one was just astounding to me, in that yes, they've just launched an electric ferry and they're testing it at the moment, but it's not in operation. And why is someone in the editorial office at a news organization decided the great thing was to jump to conclusions? Thinks, wow, there's one electric ferry out of 50 on Auckland's harbour, or 30 or whatever it is. It must be the electric one that's burning, despite the fact that I think in the last 10 years there's been half a dozen diesel ferry fires.
Now, you know me, I have petroleum running through my blood. In fact, I can't donate blood because they're better off just putting it straight in the tank rather than into anybody's body. However, I also recognise that it was just that the hype and the anxiety that came from these headlines was just completely over the top. And I saw the socials. The socials were just incredible on the Whangarei Hospital fire about, or it must have been an EV. It was an EV. Nobody. I just don't get how people jump to those conclusions now. Leave the facts for the facts, shall we please, kids?
And as I said, I'll go back to my comment earlier. In so many of these situations, where did the hate come from? And I want to know who's spending the money or placing the comments, or who has been breeding this disinformation and getting it out there. And when you get such a big bunch of people thinking about something that's so patently untrue, people, the whole do your research people stuff is hilarious, because clearly I think the people who say that tend to be the most easy to sway with some of this stuff. I don't know.
I think, Richard, though, it does underpin a undeniable issue that and I'm not going to say it's a truth, I'm just going to call it an issue that the industry is going to face. And I see it from the coalfield, because I'm out on the coalface, so to speak. And there is still a very large portion of people out there that have a general distrust and mistrust of electric vehicles. And it's not even necessarily a mechanical distrust, shall we say. It's a political distrust. And one of the hurdles the industry is going to have to work its way through to overcome in the future, if we're going to get to this point where you're talking about 15 years hence, is there are a number of different little tall poppies to knock down. And it's not just fear of mechanical. When we get through those, I think we might see a much greater uptick amongst the general population. I'm not talking about new car buyers here, I'm talking about used car buyers, which fueling these so-called media fires. But there's still a lot of distrust, a lot of uncertainty, a lack of knowledge, and a bit of anxiety. And it's not that it's being fueled somehow by some master media force. It's just people sometimes are a bit slow to understand what they don't understand, and therefore blame it on anything else if they don't.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
There we go.
Because here's I'm not actually, there's nothing plugged into the microphone apparently. Just realized I'm speaking on the wrong microphone.
Well, I can hear you just fine. So whatever you were doing, carry on.
Yeah. Here's the stats, people. For every internal combustion engine vehicle sold, so these numbers are, it's not just, there's not that many EVs, there's not that many fires. For every internal combustion engine vehicle sold, the rate of fires is 1,530 fires per 100,000 vehicles sold. For full electric vehicles, the rate is 25 fires per 100,000 vehicles sold. And for hybrid vehicles, combining ICE and electric, the rate is 3,475 fires per 100,000 vehicles sold. So, yes. Now, there is the skew there, as pointed out the stuff. I think that is vehicles sold rather than vehicles in use or miles driven. So that EV number will come up as some of those vehicles age, but that is a big ass gap. It's a big ass gap, and I will start calling out members of the industry that I see in social media, maybe talking them to their face rather first, who keep spreading misinformation like this kind of stuff, because it's just dumb. It is absolutely dumb, because Graham, and no matter what people think, in 10, 15 years time, what ratio of what you're going to be selling is going to be electric?
I can't give you a guarantee on that, because I'm looking at the marketplace in Japan that provides the vast majority of all our vehicles that come to this country that are not brand new. And I think there are still some great many challenges to come. And so the dynamic is going to be whether there's the political will to carry on down that pathway as opposed to the stock will. So if we carry on, I think it's right now,
Japan's going to get on board eventually. They'll work it out.
And we've said that, and I'm not being dismissive here, but we've been saying that for a really long time now, that Japan's going to get on board, and Japan's going to get on board. And the Japanese consumers don't appear to be all that bothered about getting on board, irrespective of what the manufacturers are talking about. And I sometimes wonder whether a bigger game is being talked up than the market's going to be there. But like I said, that's a debate that we can.
I'll phrase it this way. What percentage of what you sell in 10 years' time will be electrified?
So you're including hybrids in that question?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you include hybrids, of course, because everything, 70% of the Japanese market, I think now is a hybrid vehicle. But as we've just discussed, and I don't classify a hybrid vehicle as an electric vehicle. I think that's disingenuous to call it an electric vehicle. It is not.
Well, that's good, because they're more likely to burn than an electric vehicle.
Exactly, as you just pointed out, because one of the common factors there is they run on petrol, and petrol, as we know, is a pretty flammable substance when exposed to sparks or heat sources or fire.
And let's be clear, and I said before, I know that there's problems around this, right? Electric vehicles, when they do go up, boy, do they go up.
Where do they go? Yep.
Boy, do they go up. But I guess the point is, you've got to talk to a fire service and go, would you rather fight 25 electric fires or 3,600 hybrid fires?
That's a question for the fire service, Richard, and I wouldn't want to necessarily guess what the answer to that is. Because, and I can hear
clear,
the voices already. I can just about see my phone ringing and saying,
yeah.
but what about if the electric vehicle is inside a boat, or it's inside a garage, or it's inside a car park building where the fire cannot be contained? The thermal runaway of a light ion battery fire means that, yes, it may be 1 in 3,000 rather than 1 in 25, but the effects of that. So again, I'm telling you the stuff that you hear, Richard. You know that you hear this stuff. You know this is what the voices say. These are some of the misgivings that the industry is going to have to overcome, whether we like it or not. As a trade.
But we're changing direction on that too, right? And that we're seeing the vast majority of vehicles coming in using LFP batteries, which they are far, far, far harder to ignite. And when they do ignite, they don't go up with anywhere near the same velocity. We're shifting from, I'll eventually start shifting from LFP to sodium, which I don't think really can ignite. So even that's going to change as the technology develops and goes on. So
all of which we agree about. The point I'm making here is you're complaining, rightfully so, about sentiment, about false information. I'm saying to you, there is a lot of it out there, and these are some of the concerns that people, rightly or wrongly, have, and that the industry is going to have to work through to overcome.
And we've been here before. I've been around far too long, and I was here when Toyota New Zealand dropped in a few of the first generation Priuses into New Zealand as a trial, and we had exactly the same stuff going on back then. I remember it very clearly. We were all going to run over people because the car was too quiet in the city, and they were all going to explode in a shower of screaming hot metal, and they were going to raise the devil from underground and blah 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 blah. But yeah. Anyway, rant over. Come on, let's move on.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting little note. And again, we're talking about the bus crash. I want to keep iterating that it's a tragedy that the bus driver was lost. And I think questions do need to be asked about how the materials in that bus went up to the level that they did. You would think buses would have quite a bit of retardant in them, though things can only be so retardant when they've got petrol on them, potentially. The battery cells in that bus, it's the Geely N13NZ, that's New Zealand in the name of the bus, are the same new LFP cells that Geely's developed as in the Geely EX5, which is launched in the market. And they were specifically designed to be, not specifically designed, but they're part of their key features is that they are considered very stable and very difficult to catch fire. So, yeah. Interesting there. Expecting some response in the comments maybe to this one. Anyway, that's I'm done with that.
Well, anyway, making comments out there in the media on a negative sense, I doubt we'll see it up there. But anyway, topic.
Yeah, I'm surprised News Talk ZB haven't called me. They often call me around this kind of stuff. But maybe I told a certain breakfast host he was wrong a few too many times. Right.
I'll do it.
Now, having said that, as a giant EV fan, I'm driving a petrol car this week.
Yeah, you are.
I'm driving a Mustang, a dark horse, with a V8.
See, because you're just the whipping boy for all things EV, and you just hate petrol vehicles with an abundant passion that you do, what you should actually do is give the
I just don't like paying for petrol.
Beg your pardon?
I like petrol vehicles. I just don't like paying for petrol.
Quick, somebody cut that audio clip right now. Right now, cut that audio clip. What you should be doing is giving it to a professional petroleum lover like myself and saying, you know what, I think you'd appreciate this more. How is the dark horse, Richard?
It's good. It's good. For dark horse owners out there, I'm not sure there's that many of you, but for dark horse owners out there, you might understand this trick. You want a car like that to be as loud as possible, particularly when your little daughter is a little bit of a petrol head or EV head, and she loves getting picked up by flash new cars in the school pickup zone in front of all the boys and the car-loving girls as well at school. So she loves that, and I understood a trick. So the dark horse, and like with a lot of things, you can like turn it through various modes, including one that makes the exhaust a little bit zestier, but it wasn't zesty enough They've got to follow noise things now. But what I worked out was that if you set it into drag strip mode, which it has, of course, for drag strip mode, it puts the automatic into a higher stall point. So it allows the engine to rev a lot higher or idle a lot higher before the transmission engages, which means that if you run in drag strip mode into the school pickup and drop off zone, the car, to move it forward a little bit, is idling a bit higher and sounds a lot more zesty. So there you go. Hot tip. If you want to show off in your dark horse and you just want to idle around town making just a little bit more noise than normal, then leave it in drag strip mode.
There you are, top tip. If you own a dark
The
horse,
more
I'm sure
you know.
you've already figured that out. See, I always thought one of the main benefits of buying a 2018 Mustang Sad Eyes over the 2017 Angry Eyes Mustang, and if you're a Mustang guy, you know what I mean, right, was that the Sad Eyes had the bimodal exhaust and the Angry Eyes did not. And I always thought it was one of the features lacking was a standard Mustang pre-2018 in standard mode did not sound quite as zesty as you might be insinuating, Richard. And the bimodal activation feature on the Sad Eyes 2018 onwards made a big difference to the school car park pickup noise ratio. Did you get a whole lot of angry Mangawhai mums chasing you out of the car park, complaining about?
No, they're all bogans here. They all love it. They all love it.
Okay, so it's our people then, right?
The car that's truly got this mastered is the Corvette, because the Corvette has it's got a dual clutch gearbox, and it's got a feature where it obviously has a dual mode exhaust as well, so you make it loud on that, and it's a bit louder than the Mustang. But the flappy pedal gearbox, you pull those at the same time, it releases the clutch, and you can blip the throttle. Which that gets people smiling. So
I don't know. I've got a 19-year-old son with a Mazda Miata with a big bore exhaust who learned how to double the clutch at the age of about 12 on the farm driving equipment. Just quietly.
Is it a bit tinny? Is it a bit drony? Is it like going along at 100 km an hour going? Does he borrow your car to go anywhere further than about 30 minutes away?
It's actually one of the great things about Miata ownership is you never not run out of relationships with your petrol station people. It actually gets a bit further than you might think, but they do have a very, very small fuel tank.
No. I was more meaning along, does he get, if he's got to go anywhere beyond the bounds of Auckland, does he just not want to deal with the bang?
Oh, no, that car has been to Wellington, it's been around the Wairarapa, it's been all over the place. No issue at all. Come on, Richard, think back when we were youthful in our prime, driving all sorts of interesting old bits and pieces. First thing we did surely was cut the exhaust off, or at least in sections, and then drive with that drony noise in our ears for life. And if you didn't, are you really a car person?
Yeah, one of the things we did that I both loved and regretted was my Datsun 120Y. I let a girl, as young men do, drive it. She immediately backed into a grass bank and bent the exhaust. So me and my friends late at night decided the best thing to do was to get some metal drain pipe and an old Kobe muffler or resonator we had hanging around and build a new exhaust, build a new 3-inch exhaust to shove the remains of the 1.5-inch exhaust into the back of the car, which sounded truly awesome and dreadful at the same time. So yeah,
stuff we did.
Yeah. Anyway,
I
have some news today.
Yeah, like it. Don't forget, I'll tell you about the standard Vanguard in the next show. In fact, I'll bring a photo for you if you like, talking about cut-off exhausts. What's the news, Richard?
Luxury car dealership. Hang on, let me change the perspective of this window. That should look a bit better. Luxury car dealership enters receivership after hopeless court case. This is Beecham European, who are connected to but separate to the Beecham Jaguar empire down in the Hawke's Bay, who in their own right, the Beechams have had some challenges over the years, Graham. If you go back and search on AutoTalk, you might find a few stories about them in the
I was
past.
going
But
to
Beecham
say,
European,
possibly not strangers to the to controversy when it comes to those sort of things.
yes, Beecham European, a high-end Auckland car dealership specialising in luxury European vehicles, has been placed into receivership following a failed court case that a High Court judge described as hopeless. Prime Finance Limited appointed receivers for the company this month. The Penrose-based dealership sold refurbished late-model European vehicles, including Jaguar, Aston Martin, and Bentley, from its Great South Road showroom. Alexander Beecham served as the company's sole director and general manager. A related company, Beecham Parts and Services, also into receivership under Prime Finance Limited 3 days before a High Court judgment ordered Beecham European to pay more than $61,000 in legal costs. The legal dispute centered on Beecham European's former showroom at 491 Great South Road. The $2.6 million property was owned by an associated company, Beecham Properties Limited, which defaulted on mortgage payments and was sold through a mortgagee sale. When new owner 491 GSR Limited issued notice requiring Beecham European to vacate, the dealership claimed it held a lease until 2033 and sought urgent court relief to prevent lease cancellation. Go read the details, but it is not there. So this mostly comes down to the money around the lease. But yeah, they've been in that spot for quite some time.
It's not related around a challenge with a particular vehicle. It's related around a property transaction. But I've always thought it's worth noting that in that, so they've often specialised in that higher end European and sports car marketplace. Excuse me. Which I also recognise, and the trade recognises, is fraught with peril and risk by the nature of the product that you sell.
Oh, they've had a few tribunal cases over the years as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a difficult place to play, and that's not insinuating that anything wrongful has occurred. Excuse me, but it is a difficult place to be, and it wouldn't be their first foray into legal trouble.
Yes. Right. Ingham Motor Group acquires 4 dealerships in Rotorua and Taupo. Ingham Motor Group will take ownership of Central Motor Group's 4 dealerships in Rotorua and Taupo from December 1, expanding the family-owned company's presence in the central North Island. The acquisition sees one of New Zealand's largest automotive retailers add 2 more Ford sites to its portfolio, with the dealerships to trade as Ingham Ford Rotorua and Ingham Ford Taupo. The dealerships were owned by the Blakeney Williams family. Richard Blakeney Williams Jr. was running them up until recently. Ford New Zealand Managing Director Annalise Satina says the change brings together 2 organisations with shared values. We are thrilled to welcome Ingham Motor Group to the Ford New Zealand family as the new custodians of our Rotorua and Taupo dealerships. So there you go. It's a bit of a move there. There may be some more stuff around about this to come, but let's watch this space. Why is it not loading? There we go. There have been some positive changes accepted to credit law. The government will accept select committee recommendations on the Credit Contracts and Consumer Finance Amendment Bill, including adjustments to retrospective elements that will exempt ongoing court cases from the new provisions. Commerce and Consumer Affairs Minister Scott Simpson says the changes will restore common sense to lending and ensure responsible borrowers can access finance when needed, including for vehicle purchases. The previous changes saw banks and other lenders weighed down by excessive compliance requirements, leading to overly cautious lending approaches that made it harder for consumers to access affordable credit. Many will remember the frustration of being asked intrusive questions about everyday expenses such as takeaways or streaming subscriptions when applying for a home loan. That's why the government asked to act to remove unnecessary rules, bring back common sense, and make it easier for responsible borrowers to access finance. It's part of a broader package. One of them we noted at AutoTalk Live last week was they are dropping the requirement for directors of finance companies to be personally responsible for some of these cases. So that should make a bit of a difference. Are you glad the days of having to discuss why someone had a Big Mac with them are over, Graham?
You know, I was just thinking before that, paradoxically, the last set of changes under the CCCFA actually had the very opposite effect of what was intended. It actually gave oxygen to the sort of the third and fourth tier lenders, well, actually fourth and fifth tier lenders, I suppose, the real hole in the wall. Because once it became difficult to access credit from the regular finance companies in that sort of tier 1, tier 2, and possibly even tier 3 brackets, people still wanted to borrow money to buy cars. They still needed a car, and it just pushed them further into the waiting jaws of the proper loan sharks, the credit sharks, the South Auckland hole in the wall, compound interest type deals, because that's the only place that would lend money. And if you got to have it, you got to have it. So look, yeah, I'm glad to see some of these changes. But you know what? It's such a flexible, fluid model when it comes to finance. There's always going to be change and tweaking required because our needs change. Somebody pointed out to me from the finance industry a couple of days ago that the people are still spending money right now. I mean, what we're seeing on their card statements and on their bank statements at the moment, and this is direct from the mouth of a representative. So people are spending money right now on takeaways, coffee, and OnlyFans, and they're seeing that turn up on bank statements. And it's a question of working through how you put that into a loan document and just how many questions you ask about people's spending habits.
That's something that I don't know whether you could answer this question, but have you? Mind you don't really get to see the bank statements, do you? It's kind of a pass through to the finance company.
Well, I know. So what are you going to ask? What's the question you're going to ask? And I might have an answer for you.
Have you seen OnlyFans on someone's bank statement during a loan application?
So here's an issue with this. A dealership that I know was dealing with an application for a client where their income is derived from, as it turns out, OnlyFans, and no judgment here at all, okay? So legitimate income. However, it turns out that OnlyFans appears to pay into an offshore provider, offshore account. And so the issue that the client had was around the taxation or taxable status of their income. And what they had not done was set up a New Zealand holding company to then draw wages from and tax. And so clearly, as it turns out, there are quite a number of New Zealand domiciled people that are involved in OnlyFans as an income stream. But the taxable status of that is yet to be worked out. And from the finance company's perspective, it was nothing to do with a moral or judgment call. I hope it wouldn't be. I think we're all bigger than that. But it did come down to how you deal with it on a taxable basis and therefore deriving it as tax net income. Just a dealer I know.
Yes. Fun. It's a whole new world. A whole new world.
Every month is a difference.
Hey, look, Graham, if the car sales get really tight, you know what to do.
Richard, I wasn't going to say it, but I know we've thought about that. There must be an angle.
Find Graham on footfinder.com.
Mid 50s, West Auckland car dealer. Would you like to see my documents?
All the white leather you can handle. All the white synthetic leather you can handle. Anyway.
I did own a pair of white synthetic leather shoes in the 80s, I'll have you know.
VTNZ boss to step down. Vehicle Testing New Zealand's long-serving country manager Greg O'Connor has resigned after nearly 30 years with the company. The vehicle testing firm says the decision is not linked to the alleged driving test cash bribes currently under investigation at its Hybrid branch. O'Connor has been with Vehicle Testing New Zealand for almost 30 years, including more than 7 years in his current role. A VTNZ spokesperson told the staff O'Connor signaled his retirement to the board in September, and it was communicated to staff on October 7. His resignation was long planned. Greg has spent close to 30 years with VTNZ and has overseen many of its achievements and growth in that time. Greg will be leaving VTNZ at the end of January 2026 to allow for a smooth transition to his successor. A well-respected operator. Yes, probably not the best time to make that announcement from the company, but a well-respected operator. Have you had much to do with Greg over the years, Graham?
Yeah, Greg's been around forever. I mean, 30 years in the industry in that sort of particular role. Yep, he's a sort of a household name, I suppose, when it comes to the industry organisations. And look, well done, Greg. I think you've had a stellar career. You've certainly held your head up high throughout it. The timing is a little bit unfortunate, but I don't think anyone has made any particular connection there, and nor should they. Well done, and enjoy your retirement. And I'm sure someone like Greg will have about a million other things already planned he's going to do.
God, I'm about to crack over 25 years in the industry. Does that mean in 5 years' time I can retire as well?
Come and join the car industry. I've been in here since I was in the car industry. I bought and sold my first car when I was 14 years old. And I ain't being able to retire anytime soon. So stick with the water's finer, Richard.
Mm. MTF completes $300 million securitization with strong demand. MTF Finance has completed its 9th public securitization with exceptional investor demand, raising $269.7 million through the MTF Magnum Trust 2025, and what the company describes as one of its strongest results to date. Over the 90% of the investment came from domestic institutions, so New Zealand money being lent to New Zealand people, paying interest back to New Zealand, which is good. This is a strong endorsement of our credit performance and our purpose as human-led lenders, says MTF Chief Executive Chris Lammers. Investor confidence enables us to do what matters most, back Kiwis, local businesses and communities with access to fair, flexible finance. Of course, MTF is largely owned by dealer originators. So you guys own that. Well, at least you guys own most of it. So, yeah, good to see. BMW Group New Zealand posts strongest sales since 2021. And why have I put this so high up? And that is because when it comes to a recession, luxury brands down first, luxury brands back up first. So take that as a economic indicator.
That's
Group
a good
registered
point.
2150 vehicles in the first 9 months of 2025, driven by double-digit growth across both the BMW and Mini brands. BMW registration climbed 24% to 1,411 units, compared with 1,137 in 2024. And Mini's up 21%. And I say, and that's a strong result. Why I like it as an economic indicator is they've had a new X3 in that time, but they didn't really do anything massive around launching it or anything like that. So, you know, it's not like this is one of those cases where they've had a big new model refresh that's boosted the numbers through the roof. That's just people buying cars. And I think that is a sign, that a good sign. Yes.
I
think
buy
a new BMW.
Oh, I'm just going to itching to try and find that dark horse key. The dark horse keys are going to leave lying around on my desk.
Interestingly, they reckon a lot of it was driven by electric. 58.9% increase in electrified vehicle sales. So that is, yes. GAC, they're just dribbling out more detail about their launch here. Looking like they'll be on deck end of this year. They've confirmed they will be here with 3 models initially. The first one being the Aeon V electric SUV, quite a striking looking car that one. They'll also be coming with the M8, a people mover that I've seen driving around in New Zealand. That's a plug-in hybrid, 2.2 plug-in hybrid. So 274 kilowatts and 630 newton meters of power. So about the same as a normal Mustang in a people mover, with 106 kilometers of electric range. Yes, and they're doing the GS3 small petrol SUV. So they're not just doing electrified stuff. I think we're starting to enter a new phase in the Chinese market approach to the New Zealand market and the Australian market. We saw a lot of stuff come in, and they kind of actually kept the prices up a bit, you know, tried a bit of a premium attempt. Then we've got ones coming in now that are kind of going to the other end of the market, and we're starting to finally see the affordable Chinese cars come through that seem to be missing. We kind of went through a period of Chinese can build good cars, but they're as expensive as anyone else. Now we're seeing things like the Tiggo 4 in the mid-20s. I think that GS3 is going to be a real value car. Dongfeng is arriving next month, and they are probably going to have an electric vehicle pretty darn close to $30,000, is my suspicion. Starting to see the industry dynamic just change a wee bit on that.
So who's it going to knock out, Richard?
Whoa.
I know you can't.
Tricky,
we can't discuss this on air for legal reasons, I'm sure. But the reality is that I've said this time and time again. We're not increasing the size of the pie by any particular size.
I don't think we're at that point yet. I think we will see. I think we will, and we are seeing some dealer rationalizations, right? I think you saw a little bit from like some Mazda. They decided to go up market and they trim back on some of their regional representation. So I think anyone's screaming to leave yet, but I think you will see in some brands some rationalization is, I guess, the point. Yeah. We can tolerate more brands than we probably think we can, simply because a lot of it is now really just the whole Australian branch office model. So the infrastructure to run a brand in New Zealand has gotten down to pretty darn incredibly low, for better or for worse. There's Chinese brands in New Zealand that operate with half a dozen staff in New Zealand on the ground, which is crazy. But it does mean they can tolerate a lot more than what perhaps you used to be able to in the past, when you had head offices for companies that weren't selling that many vehicles with 50, 60 staff in them. That's all definitely changing.
I think that we're going to see, my prediction is we're actually going to see some rationalization from, should we say, the first wave of Chinese brands. I think everyone's expecting the likes of some of the bigger Japanese players, and we've seen some of the European marks either withdraw altogether or certainly retract back. But I think we're on the cusp. My prediction, anyway, is we're on the cusp of some of the early adopter Chinese brands having to refocus their attention on the market, as opposed to some of the existing Japanese brands, because we just have so many in such a competitive marketplace. And that marketplace is not brand loyal. So people are going for vehicles that offer the best package, the best tech, the new vehicle factor, but it's not around the brand. There isn't any brand loyalty, at least very little, not yet. And so that means that people are fluid around their purchasing choice if the next new bright shiny thing comes along. And it goes against the grain where Kiwis, to an extent, tend to be quite brand loyal about what they purchase up to this point. And so I think some of those earlier Chinese brands might actually be the ones that are most at risk of being swamped by the next wave coming on through.
Yeah, I think you've got to account for, I actually think it's more some of the ones that are coming that are big, the ones that are at risk. I think most of these brands that are coming in are very aware they've got a 3, 4, 5 year fight just to establish. And I think that they're willing to spend the money to do it. Some of the stuff that GWM's doing in Australia is crazy. They're supposedly at the moment they're negotiating to buy the former Holden Proving Grounds. These guys are serious, and they're in here for a serious amount of time. It's tricky. It's tricky. And we do, and you say that with the loyalty, right? But I was in it a couple of weeks back. I think I mentioned this before, and at a major multi-franchise dealer in Auckland, speaking to the staff there when I came in to pick up a value-priced Chinese car, and they were basically saying that, well, if it wasn't for this, we'd be screwed right now. That was the only thing that was selling. They weren't selling their mid-priced Japanese options. The cars that were selling were the cheap Chinese cars. So yeah, we'll see. But there's so much to come. There's still other brands to come. It's just going to be crazy. I think for dealers, the trick's going to be picking what you will be involved in and how much you're willing to invest in what some of these brands are after. Because all these brands want to be treated properly. It's like the old days where you could pick up a fledgling brand and put it in the tin shed out the back or the corner of the main showroom. These guys are wanting proper investment now. So, yeah.
It's becoming like a key party in an American suburban network in the 1970s. No one's quite sure what they're going to pull out of the basket. But you've got to have a set of keys.
Yes. Well, I'm interested in seeing what is coming. I'm going up to the Guangzhou Motor Show in a few weeks. It's going to be intriguing to see what they pop up with there. There's a lot to look at. I've been given tips from multiple brands as to what is going to be there, and it's a lot. It's a lot. So yeah. And that's not even one of the main motor shows. That's a minor. Well, it's a tier 2, I guess you'd call it, in comparison to some of the others that are out there. Speaking of brands, Toyota tops global brand rankings as Tesla tumbles. Toyota has maintained its position as the world's most valuable automotive brand, according to Interbrand 2025 Best Global Brands report. The Japanese manufacturer holds 6th place overall globally, with an estimated brand value of $122.4 billion, a 2% rise. That's the top automotive brand. Tesla experienced a steep decline, dropping 35% to 48.7 New Zealand million. It makes it rank 4th among car brands and 25th overall. Mercedes remains 2nd, BMW 3rd. Hyundai's up there as well. Ferrari's up there as well. It's
well done to it.
Yes.
I mean, let's well done to it. And it's almost like that ranking comes back home again. I'm sure that there are some within Twitter sitting back just sort of saying, well, we knew it had come back. From the Tesla perspective, I guess no surprise either. They've certainly had a roller coaster of a year when it comes to the politics of Tesla. And you can take that whichever way you want, whether you support or you don't. It's certainly been an interesting year for Tesla to navigate around their brand strategy. But within the American marketplace, it certainly doesn't seem to hurt sales too much of things like the Model Y, I noticed, and in particular, which seems to have still be doing okay. Just don't mention the Cybertruck.
Yes. Last couple of items for today. The first one is, I'm talking about kind of new price levels for vehicles. BYD has confirmed the Atto 1 pricing reveal for November 6th. So this little beastie is coming to New Zealand. They released the specs over in Australia this week, and we can assume they'll carry over. So 30 kilowatt hour and 43 kilowatt hour batteries, up to 310 kilometers of WLTP range. These are, I think, going to become pretty darn good value. Value is a questionable word. I think these will probably be, at least for a short period before someone else jumps them, the cheapest EVs you can buy in New Zealand. But I suspect they'll get overtaken pretty darn quickly.
How much
value?
How much?
We don't know. I think we're hoping for a price.
Is this an announcement about an announcement? Is this like a Jacinda Ardern? It's an announcement about an announcement.
It is, but this is a car that gets so much buzz and talk about it that it's important, and the fact that they're going to try with the smaller battery and the smaller motor output. I think there's a little bit of a market for these tiny cars. If there were these on Amiibo at the airport for me grabbing them for a day in town, great. First car for your kid, little electric car that doesn't go too far, and 5-star Euro NCAP. Then I think there's some appeal there for that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Just thinking, no first car owner ever wanted to hear that it doesn't go too far. That's the whole point of freedom with your first car.
I know parents who have bought used Nissan Lease for their children as first cars for that very reason.
Shame on you. I bet they don't remember their teenage years.
And I've got a niece who started driving a year or so ago. She's got her first car, and her entire life is around how can I earn enough money to put petrol in this car. Like back when I got my first car, your lunch money you could divert to just about half a tank of gas. Not so much these days.
Oh, bollocks, Richard. It was. I don't think the price of petrol. Honestly, I think back to my teenage youth years and what I was earning versus what I was spending in petrol. I think the ratio is probably not much that changed, to be fair. It's just we have a lot more things to spend our money on these days apart from just petrol and the Triumph Herald. I remember getting receipts in the petrol station for $3 worth of petrol just because I could. $3.
Well, yes. But when I first started driving, petrol was under 60 cents a litre.
Yeah, and how much were you being paid an hour?
I was working at the bakery in Beachlands, and I was earning about $7 an hour.
Oh, let me sound like the Yorkshireman here. That $7 an hour. My first job was $4 an hour picking strawberries, and petrol.
When I went to work at Pack and Save, I was on $4.15 an hour. But still,
exactly. So as a ratio of your income,
that's at the bakery at least. That was nearly 14 litres of petrol per hour of work.
So 60 cents. Hang on. 60 cents a litre, okay? So the multiplier on that right now is I was being paid $4 an hour. Petrol is 60 cents a litre. Minimum wage is now, what is it, 22 an hour? And petrol is around here anyway, $2.60, $2.80 a litre. I think the ratio is decreased rather than increased.
cars are
Facts,
more
Richard,
fuel efficient.
facts.
It's probably more the point.
Facts. Yeah, well,
Anyway.
I don't know. Anyway, carry on. My point.
Anyway, look, it's a difference as far as I'm concerned. Felt more affordable back then. Back in my day. I finally get to say that.
Felt more affordable. There's a media soundbite for you.
Anyway, look, there's a video on that story where we drove that car in China, and we had the most fun you could have in a car on that day. We had a car park, a few Kiwi journalists, the Aussies had all been bundled off somewhere else, and half a dozen odd cars to drive. We drove them all, and then we just had these two seagulls there that we could go crazy with. And so we had this little track around this car park, and we had the BYD Seagull Cup, where we blasted that car around that track so hard for so long, we started peeling chunks out of the front tires. It was, you know what, you'll agree with me here, Graham, a well-sorted small car with a modest amount of power driven hard is the most fun you can have.
A well-sorted small car, the modest amount of power with rear-wheel drive is more fun.
Oh, I'll admit that. I'll admit that. But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
You and I need to think of a suitable challenge for the Yatta one when it comes to New Zealand, and in terms of putting it out of its comfort zone. Because neither of us are slightly built men. I noted the title you had, big man, small car. So two big men, one small car.
Auckland to Christchurch.
A suitably muted colour, I might add. Non-stop.
Auckland to Christchurch non-stop.
Cannonball.
It would take quite some time.
Yeah.
Because it charges it. It charges it. I think the big one with the 40-something kilowatt battery, open road, you and I, at maybe 220, 230 kilometers of range, if we're lucky. And it charges at 65 kilowatts, but you can't do it to full every time. So you'd be doing about 150 per charge. So every 150 Ks, you're going to have to charge for, after the first one, you're going to have to charge for about half an hour.
Okay, I'm bored already. Let's move on.
Last story for today. As soon as we get off this podcast, jump in your car, drive down to your local Woolworths or Pack and Save or whatever, and buy the latest issue of New Zealand Autocar. It is out now. Lots of great reviews in there. Not just electric vehicles. We've got the new Land Cruiser Prado. We've got Ford Stormtrack. We've got I drove Auckland to Wellington in a Tesla full self-driving car. I mentioned that before. Got a review of the Xiaomi SU7 out of China. A classic story on a 1986 BMW M535i, a beautiful car, and a bike review of the Triumph Twin 1200S and Triumph Expanded Speed Twin. God, bikes have such nice names, don't they?
Great names.
And a rather funky looking cover, if I may say so. I'd love feedback on this. We've been trying some different covers other than the good old just slap a car on the front and make it look like it's drifting and put some words on top of it. We're trying to do some different stuff. Next issue, Bruce McLaren on the cover. We've had the team out today, over the last 2 days, taking a McLaren 850S around Auckland's Bruce McLaren location, starting off at Muriwai, ending up at Pukekohe.
Cool.
Video and story coming. So, that's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah. Anyway, that's it for today. We made it in under an hour. Woo! Thank you, everyone, for watching. We will be here next week. I'll be here next week.
So enjoy your weekend off, everyone. If you're going to have the weekend off, hang on a minute. We're in the car industry. There's no such thing as a weekend off.
No, I might not be here next week. We'll see. AutoTalk magazine is out today. So watch your email this afternoon. AutoTalk email magazine is out today.
All right.
Right.
Have a good weekend. Sell heaps of cars, everyone. Hope it's a good, profitable weekend for you. We'll see you maybe 2 weeks' time.
Catch up.